Hi, welcome back. I'm Chava. I'm a cat mom and life coach and practitioner of Chinese medicine. And I was trying to wait until someone was asleep to record this video, but she's not going down for her nap. So we'll make the best of it. Fortunately, this is rather relevant because I wanted to bring you here today to talk about the Year of the Tiger, which is starting right now. And a little bit about the energies that this year brings with it and kind of what we have to look forward to, what we should be braced for. And yeah, there's just some interesting things about this year that I've been looking into that I think might be helpful or at least interesting for everyone to know. So excuse me, I do have a bit of a cold. According to all the tests I've done so far, it's not COVID. I hope the coughing can be kept to a minimum. And I'm just going to press on. So the Chinese year, for those who are not aware, which is probably most people, is a lunar solar year. It's like the Hebrew year, and that it always starts on a new moon. It always starts on the first or second new moon after the beginning of the Gregorian year. So either in January or in February, which is why if you just look up, I was born in X year, what is my Chinese zodiac animal? If you were born in January, February, you might have gotten the wrong answer because you might have been born before Chinese New Year, and then you technically belong to the previous year. A lot of people I've talked to who told me that they thought that Chinese astrology was particularly ridiculous because they felt nothing like their zodiac animal, turned out to actually have been given the wrong information as to what their animal is. So anyone who's had a baby in the past month, they were not born in the year of the tiger, they were born in the year of the ox. And that is an important distinction when you're raising kids. And maybe we'll get into that. So the year that is starting on this new moon is the year of the tiger. It's also in its stem, the tiger is the branch energy, and the stem energy is the yang water in wood. And I'm going to explain what those mean and why it's relevant and important for us to know. Excuse me. Okay, so starting with the tiger, because that's the thing that most people have heard about. The idea of the year having a symbolic representation is really just to help us understand something about the ebb and flow of energy in the world. And it's trying to give us a very easily envisioned or easily grasped metaphor for what sort of energy is going to be on the rise in the coming year. So the tiger, really, if you think about a cat, that's more or less what the tiger represents. The tiger represents openness to adventure and yet knowing your territory. It represents wanting to explore and being curious and always wanting to find new things. And at the same time, needing to have your safe little cat bed that you go back to at the end of the day. It's a combination of having a huge amount of energy and the ability to be very, very active, and yet really wanting to mostly rest and sleep when there's nothing that you particularly need to be involved in. The tiger represents a harmonious movement and ability to get through life with a serenity and an ability to kind of always land on your feet and look like you meant to do that. And these are all energies that are just kind of going to be more available to people over the coming year. The year is also represented in a different sort of system by the energy of the water, where the water talks about a great power and connection and the ability to fit into whatever container you're given and to connect to any sort of situation that you find yourself in. And along with that water energy, we also have this this wood energy, which represents creativity and new beginnings and the ability to change direction and the ability to start things and to imagine and to dream and to look forwards. The tiger is also associated with the energy actually of the lungs, of the ability to breathe. And that represents the first of all, the animal need to survive, along with the spiritual connection to the breath. And that's all about, it's representing this need for continual movement balanced with the necessary pauses and rests in life. It represents the need for precision and to always be moving within the correct constraints and at the right time. And the and the need to always be aware of where your boundaries are and where you're connecting to the world, what you're taking in and what you're giving out, and where you come to meet the world and how you're going to do that. So this whole year, all of the energy involved in it is very powerful. The tiger represents power. The water represents power. The wood energy has the strength. It's wood, not like dead wood, not like a chair, but like a tree, like an oak tree that starts out as this tiny little acorn and has the strength to burst its way up through the bedrock. Not bedrock, you couldn't get acorn under a bedrock. I don't know what I'm thinking of. Through boulders and or through the pavement. There's a huge amount of energy, and there's an openness to changing direction and an openness to trying new things and an openness to meeting the unknown, which I see as possibly very, very optimistic after the after the last couple of years that we've had. On the other hand, we want to be careful because this year does talk about a huge amount of power and a huge amount of strength. And so all of that power and strength, when not used carefully, can be very dangerous. And so this is definitely a year for not doing things necessarily impulsively or without thought, or just leaping into things with our eyes closed. We really want to think and plan, each of us, what we want to do, where we want to go, how we're going to get there, and then take advantage of this openness to change and to growth and to movement that the year affords. There's also something I haven't gone into so far in these videos. There's each season has a climate energy that's associated with it. And I'm not going to try and explain what that means, but the energy that we're going into with the beginning of the new year, the new Chinese year that's starting right now, is the energy of connection. It's the summer energy. It's everyone leaving their houses and going out into the streets and just being neighborly and being connected. This is the energy that's about connecting each person to themselves and each of us to the people around us, and specifically each person to their opposite, to the things that they might sometimes find hard to grasp or the things that are difficult for them to understand. It describes the connection between the fire and the water, which are opposites, and yet when they come together, have the energy to create the universe, spiritually, or I don't know if you're talking about like the Big Bang and hydrogen and nuclear fission in stars, or fusion, maybe on a slightly more materialistic scale as well. Okay, so what did I want to say? I had something I really wanted to say about this year, and that was, yes, the importance of acceptance and tolerance and working with people. So there's all sorts of things that go into this year, but the hexagram that represents this year in the I Ching, in the Book of Changes, and I'm not going to get further into that because I really don't know more, but I do know the representation of this year is the hexagram that talks about cooperation and about the ability to work together and about the ability to for everyone to be moving and doing their own thing, but to do it in a cooperative manner where no one's getting in anyone's way. Kind of like, kind of like a folk dance, or like living in an ideal society where you can live your life and I can live mine, and we're not impeding on each other, and we're actually in an overall state of cooperation where we're all trying to contribute to our society and to everyone being able to live their best lives. That's the climate energy. It's like the more immediate. It's not like out there, deeply heavenly and spiritual, the ability to change. We're talking about right now. What do you need to do? You need to cooperate with people. You need to make sure that your movement and your actions are synchronized with the people around you, so you're not getting in anyone's way and they're not blocking your ability to move. Similarly, the supporting energy of this year, the corrective energy of this year, the energy that we will all need in order to kind of maintain our balance and stay reasonably mentally healthy during the coming year, is the energy to the heavenly fire. It's the energy of connecting to people. It's the energy of communication. It's the energy of talking and sharing and communicating, and it's also the energy associated with creating art. It's the ability to communicate an idea in a way that you might not otherwise be able to. So really, what we're going to need is we're going to need a lot of cooperation. We're going to need a lot of acceptance. We're going to need to work with people and communicate with people in order to take advantage of the power and of the possibility for change that's going to happen. One thing that we want to be careful about is there's the energy that is less well represented in this year. It is in fact there's nearly as little as you can get of it, is the earth energy, where the earth represents stability and security and having a firm foundation under your feet, having a safe home to go to, having a family that supports you. All of that stability is not, there isn't a lot of energy in that part of the map. And the great drive towards change and towards doing new things and starting things is going to undermine even more the safety and the security and the routine and the familiar. And so we all need to watch out for ourselves, if we're starting new things, if we're doing new things, if we're changing, to make sure that we have our routines, that we have our foundations. Don't change everything all at once. Make sure that you have, someone who's got your back, that you have some sort of regular routine to go back to, that you have a safe home to go to before you start changing everything about your life, because that energy isn't just going to be there. It's not just going to naturally appear when you need it. You're going to need to make sure that it's there, each person for themselves. Okay, I think those were the main things I wanted to say about this year. It's really interesting. The cycle of the stems and branches syncs up every 60 years. So every 60 years we'll have the same branch energy with the same stem energy that happened 60 years ago. So this year, my father is going to be 60. So he was also born in a tiger year and in a water and wood year. And what that means is that he has always been a person who is kind of, and everyone who was born in that year, who has kind of lived these qualities, because when you're born into a specific energy, that's kind of how you assume that the world works. And that's the energy that you go forwards with from then on. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens to people with that energy when it comes around again, and when they can kind of feel the familiar energy that they were born into. It's really interesting to see how people react. Interestingly enough, traditionally in Chinese astrology, a person's zodiac year, so I was born in the year of the tiger, this is going to be my year, has been considered very bad luck for them. And I spent a lot of time trying to work out why and how, like usually most Westerners I've talked to think obviously it would be the opposite. Like it's your year, it's your familiar thing, it's what you're good at, whatever. But it's always been considered bad luck. And I thought about it a lot. And I think that what happens is that when a person's, when someone's personality naturally has like these highs and these lows, these things that I like to do, these things I don't like to do, these things I'm good at, these things I'm not so good at. And when that same energy comes around again, and it gives like an even greater boost to how I naturally behave, what that does is that takes me farther away from a happy medium, right? So if I'm a tiger, and tigers are supposed to be spontaneous and enthusiastic and energetic and generous and adventurous, and those are all great things, unless I rephrase it a little bit and I say that tigers are careless and impulsive and spendthrift and so on and so forth. Every behavior can be positive and it can be negative. And when you overdo certain traits and you take them to an extreme, then that's not necessarily a good thing. And so that's something that people maybe who have tendencies towards, say, being more impulsive, maybe changing things faster than they need to, or always going off and starting things and not finishing them, will want to be extra careful this year not to get too caught up in doing that, in becoming, living more of your already extreme traits. For me, my therapist wants me to be more like a tiger, so I'm hoping that this year is going to be good for me. Okay, a couple things I just want to say because I have been asked. So because the branch energy, the zodiac, the animals is a 12-year cycle, that means that all the Jewish girls who are going to be bat mitzvah in the next year will be tigers. Those girls were born in 2010, or from January, February 2010 to January, February 2011. I did not look up the exact dates before doing this because the cat was sitting on my notebook, but I will try and put them in the notes. So those girls are metal tigers, which they're very, very cool people. They are very precise. They generally know what they want. They know how they want it. They have a lot of presence and a lot of clarity. And they don't really care so much if other people understand them because they know what's right for them. It's really beautiful. The boys who are going to be bar mitzvah, so those boys are 13. They were born in roughly 2009. So those boys are oxen. They were born in the year of the ox, and they're earth oxes. So those kids will be more about, they also, in my experience, know exactly what they want and they're going to go for it. Like not much can stop a tiger in its tracks, but an ox can. An ox, it decides where it's going. You are not going to stop it. And the earth ox, they're stubborn kids. If they know what they want, they're going to get it. And it's not going to come so much from this place of, I am deeply connected to myself and I know what I want and I don't care what you think. It's more like, this is where I'm going and I'm dragging all of you with me because this is just obviously what has to be done and what has to happen because I'm an ox and I plow the field and I go in a straight line and I drag everything behind me. So good luck to parents organizing parties for all of those kids. You're probably going to need it, but you have amazingly great kids. I know kids from both of those years and they're just great. Okay, I think that's all that I wanted to be, sure that I said. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. Feel free to leave comments below or send me an email or however you're watching this, there should be a way to reach out to me. And you should feel free to do that. And I hope you have a wonderful Chinese New Year, a new year, and hopefully a renewed year and a change in direction and a great deal of energy to all of us. That's the best thing I can think of. So take care of yourself, be adventurous, but not too impulsive, and I will see you later.